Hi guys, my name is Justin. I own a car lot up in this winter wonderland here, and over the next 3 hours it's going to take me to plow out my car lot. I'm going to tell you a story about how I lost about $7,000 and what I'm going to do about it and what would you do about it. This is part of being a business owner, and part of it is standing by your word. That's how you get sales and sell lots of cars. So here's the story. Tell me what you think. Well, about an hour later, I got the driveway done at least. Now I can move on to the business shit. So anyways, what happened? Like most any sale, person shows up, look at a bunch of cars, kind of seems like they're interested in a few things in a certain price range. She brought her kid along with her. She's like 70, kid's like 50. They pick a car that they decide they like, but they want to negotiate the price because I intended on doing the head gaskets on it because Subarus are prone for needing head gaskets. So the price is either $8,500, I do the head gaskets like I intended on doing, or if you want to negotiate it down because the shop is busy that week, I hadn't gotten it done yet, we can work out a price if they want to deal with it on their own. The car didn't overheat or anything, it's just it only had 100,000 miles on it. The side of the head just had a small amount of oil starting to seep out like almost all Subarus of that age do. I was going to do it as preventive maintenance. She goes, you know what? My son says it's not a big deal. I'll take it for $6,500. Like, whatever. It's about a $2,000 value. I didn't have much into it. I never even listed the thing. She showed up as it's coming off the trailer. Easy money. Not so much. So this first part of the problem is my own fault. Generally, when somebody just kind of seems like they're nitpicky and just not a good customer, I will generally just kick them down the road and not sell them a car, because once you sold them a car, like I am at this point, you're married to the problem, where they were very picky about what it is they wanted. They didn't really understand that basically you're not going to get a low mile new car for under $8,000. And they told me how she's an older lady that only drives about 700 miles a year. So I was like, you know what? If they want to not deal with the head gaskets now, it probably will last a few years the way it is, and they'll be happy. Well, I should have just known, and here we are. So, here's where we run into the problem. About a week goes by, I get a call from her, and anytime you get a call within a week, that's not a good thing. They're never calling to say, hey, I love this car. It's always something. So she calls me and says, I have this weird growl on the back end that I didn't have before. I'm like, all right, well, when you get a chance, bring it over to the shop, we'll take a look at it. Well, she lives about an hour away. She brings it to a shop, and then she calls me and says, I love the car. Can you meet me out here and take a look at it? Because I'm afraid that it's not going to make it out to your shop because the growl is getting so bad. So I take time out of my day. We drive, take a 2-hour trip there and back, and I show up to her driveway, and she then hands me a list of things that she says it needs and a demand for about $6,000 worth of work. The part that sucks about this the most is that the day that she told me that she needed me to drive out there, I asked her what's wrong with the car. She said nothing major. So I turned in all the paperwork to the DMV to make it so it is a 100% official. It is her car. Turned in the title, turned in the registration. Once I drop it off, it's her car. There's no reversing it. I get there, and conveniently on the list is head gaskets, timing belt, water pump, all the things that we discussed in depth with this customer before they bought it, telling her that yes, at some point it's going to need it, and if you bring it to a shop, they're going to tell you it's going to need it, but you are taking the car for $2,000 less because you don't want that done. And on top of all this, you had me turn in all the paperwork because I double checked with you to make sure there wasn't anything major you were going to blindside me with, and I'm about to turn in the paperwork. So what she says is, how about this? You just cut me a check for $6,000 and then we'll just call it a wash. Like, I might not be the best businessman, but I'm pretty sure that you can't sell 6-year-old cars with 100,000 miles on them for $500. So, I mean, obviously that's an unrealistic ask. So I say, how about we go for a ride and we investigate this growl, which was their initial complaint. We had to drive a half hour to get to a 45-mile-an-hour roundabout so that she could put as much pressure as possible, probably pulling a solid 18,000 G's like a rocket ship, onto the right rear wheel bearing to make it start to make a little bit of a noise. She's like, you hear that? The whole rear end's gonna fall out. I'm like, oh, okay, lady. Just let's drive back to your house. So we drive back to her house. And at that point, I tell her this. I'm like, how about this? I'll do the head gasket job at cost. You just keep the car. The wheel bearing's your problem. All these other little things that are just old car things. Like, she had dumb crap like that. There was rust built up on the back side of the parking brake shoe. Well, every car has rust on the parking brake shoe. Just ridiculous stuff that. And what the best part is that none of the paperwork was from a real shop. It's obvious like her friend or something down the road. She told me it's from like some Subaru dealership out there. Subaru does not give you notes written on a handwritten piece of paper. So I message her. I say, give me a few minutes to digest all this. I'm gonna head home and I'll send you what my offer is the next day if you're not gonna take me doing the work at cost. Because I'll do the head gasket job for like very cheap, and then you can just keep the car. Obviously, at this point, that's not good enough. So she writes back and she says, well, how about you just give me the money back for the car today? And I said, well, the new issue with that is that you didn't tell me you wanted to return the car, even though you either wanted to demand all the money for the car back and keep it, or return it, which obviously I'm going to say return it. But you had me turn the title in. So now we have to wait for the title to come in. Said, you can return the car, but you're not getting money until I get a title signed back over to me, because the conversations we've had where you've demanded the full cost of the car and keep the car makes me think that I can't really trust you very well. Well, we've made it to the car lot and there's about a foot here, so this is going to take a little bit. Sorry, guys. So, I explained to her basically that I cannot give you money until you hand me a title. Simple as that. She goes, well, what do you want me to do? Because I have to have a vehicle, and you promised me, the state says that this has to be a good running driving vehicle. I said, it is a good running driving vehicle. Just check your oil like any other person would need to, and add as needed if you happen to drive that far. But you told me you only drive 700 miles a year, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You take it for your little grocery trips, and that's it. Well, the next problem lies in I'm tying up my money, telling her I'm going to give her back her money, and she can rent my car for free for basically, it's going to be at least 45 days for that title to come in with New York State. I tried to rush it. They tell me with COVID we can't rush it. Our average turn on a vehicle is about 18 to 20 days. So where am I losing money? Well, that money I invested in to buy that vehicle now cannot just keep flipping to buy more. So say every car I buy, I make some money off from. I need to make that money every 20 days. So every time that car is just sitting there, I'm not making money. Especially if somebody's out putting miles on it, abusing it, whatever she's doing with the thing. It's costing me money to let her deal with the problem that she created. And technically I created it as well, because I should have just said, no, you seem like a pain in the ass. But I didn't, because she is a nice lady. She just has unrealistic expectations of a vehicle. So now it's today. It's been about 45 days from the time this all took place. I turned in that title and she calls me. And here's the best part. The reason she cannot bring the car to me is that 2 weeks ago it stopped running. She doesn't know what's wrong with it. She didn't want to call and tell me, but she wants it towed out to me. I said, okay, well, have AAA or something tow it to me. I've let you use the car for a month. You have apparently broke it. Don't tell me what's going on with it. She tells me that, well, the problem is that she bought another car from another dealer in the meantime, and she's also trying to return that vehicle. So now she has her whole driveway full of vehicles that she does not like because none of them fit her needs or expectations. But they put the plates from the car that I gave her to the other car, and now the AAA will not tow the car. So she wants me to come out, pick up the car, pay for the car, and also, by the way, she thinks it might be broken, but she doesn't know what. At this point, what do you do? If you were a car dealer, do you just let it go and hopefully she didn't blow it up or something? Who knows what happened to that car? Well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show up with the money, drive out there even though I shouldn't, and just suck it up and talk to her. Try to, hopefully it's just something stupid like an alternator or something like that went bad and now the car won't start. Maybe it has dead battery, I don't know. She's 70 years old. I'm gonna hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and at this point, the one positive to this is that even though this lady has been a complete nightmare, she sent a friend of hers who came and bought a car and who was super fine and cool. And she's told me 5 times how I'm a stand-up guy, and she's going to write me a 5-star review even though this whole situation is come and gone. I don't know what I should do. I know that what I'm going to do, and maybe it's not what all car dealers or people will do, but sometimes when you sell a car, you got to stand by it and just work with people the best you can, even if they're a nut job. It is what it is. All right, guys, leave me a comment, send me a message what you think I should have done, what you would have done. And sorry, this is kind of a long story, but I want to look back and remember it because it's one of the more annoying ones of the last month. I deal with this type of stuff in the background at all times. I normally have 5 situations going on at a time. This just happened to be an interesting one. So thanks. Have a good day, guys.